Hey mama, do you find yourself wishing you knew you were on the right path with your business? Or wanting to know how to do it all as a work-at-home mom and entrepreneur? If you struggle with imposter syndrome, mom guilt, or fear of failure, then you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Alexia, a Christian mindset coach, passionate about teaching moms how to renew their minds to find success both in business and motherhood. You can overcome the negative thoughts holding you back from fully stepping into your calling. I know what it's like to worry your business will never work, to feel mom guilt every time you work on your business, to realize your mindset is hindering you, but not knowing how to change it in a Christ-centered way. I created the Mama with a Calling podcast to teach you how to use the powerful combination of God's Word and proven mindset strategies to help you break free from negative, paralyzing thoughts and gain clarity and confidence to go where God is leading you. As you step out of the old way of thinking and into God's way, you'll find more peace, joy, and purpose. Pop in those earbuds and get ready to let God work in you so He can work through you. Hey there, welcome back to the Mama with a Calling podcast. Happy New Year! I know it's like the middle of January, but this is the first episode that I'm doing this year, and I hope that you're excited about 2025 because I know that I am, and I'm just excited that you're here. So, a new year is exciting, right? Because it feels like it's a chance to restart if you've been struggling, or a chance to improve in areas that have been bothering you. But it's also a time to think about where you want to go with intention, which can be really motivating and exciting. It's a great time of year, especially for entrepreneurs, or if you have an aspiration to have a business, it just feels like, okay, this is going to be the year, right? But that key word is intention. So before I became an entrepreneur, I never took the time to really think about what I wanted to focus on in the upcoming year. I'd only really done like a few resolutions, almost always around something about my health, maybe about money, but usually it was around health. So I want to encourage you now that if you don't do this already, if you haven't done it yet, or you haven't really thought that it was important, I want to encourage you to take some time to think about the year ahead of you and to have that intention about what you're doing moving forward. Because otherwise, it's really easy to just kind of float along day to day, and you don't want to turn around again, another year gone by, right? And turn around and be like, what did I even do? What did I accomplish? Now, this is where some may push back about planning ahead because we don't know what God's going to do tomorrow. And so it kind of feels a little weird to plan ahead like that, to plan for your whole year, because we don't know what's going to happen. Of course not. But as with everything, there is balance. So while we don't want to get ahead of God, or worse, create plans without His input, we also don't want to just float through life without any intention or direction at all. Proverbs 21:5 says, "The plans of the diligent lead to profit, as surely as haste leads to poverty." So creating a plan is important, especially as an entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur, because this isn't just something that you're doing for a hobby or for fun. This is a business that God has called you to create. And to do that, there are specific tasks that simply need to be completed. And there are obstacles that you need to overcome along the way that are specific to you and your business in order for you to actually have a successful business. Now, I want to speak for a moment to those of you that may be feeling overwhelmed or discouraged with what you didn't accomplish last year or the year before, etc. So sometimes, this turn of a new year can kind of make it feel depressing because you're like, it's another year that I didn't do what I wanted to do. And I just want to say that it's okay to note what you didn't accomplish that you wish that you had accomplished. In fact, this is often used for fuel, right? For what you want to focus on moving forward. But what we don't want to happen is to let that negative focus hold you back. It's a very common response when we feel overwhelmed or discouraged to simply shut down. It's that, fight or freeze response. And this is, or even like flee, to like run away. It's kind of that same feeling, right? Like, don't let those feelings win, because maybe you're feeling like you don't want to do this business anymore, but we are not going to let those feelings win, because that is just your body trying to run away, to get away from this thing that is stressful to you. It's not fun to you. It maybe even hurt you, if you will, not physically, maybe, but not physically, more like it's so challenging, so hard on you emotionally that it's like, I want nothing to do with that. I've gone through that. I haven't met anybody who hasn't gone through a season of that. But I want to say that it takes bringing yourself back around. Like, you have to really recognize it and recognize it for what it is. Like, you're pushing away your business. But I want to encourage you to resist what the devil is doing here, right? He wants your focus to be on what didn't work and how awful it was and why did you even think you could do this, da 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 da. But nope, we're not doing that, right? So first, acknowledge this is happening and you can feel it happening and you can feel your emotions, but then commit yourself to doing what God has called you to do anyway. This is where you're saying, you know what, even though I feel this way about it, I'm not going to let my feelings control if I'm obedient or not to what God is calling me to do. Everything can be used to learn from and to improve upon if you will let it. So everything that happens can be used for good and for improving and leading you more towards your business. So with that, I want to talk in this episode about how you can move forward with intention going into 2025. So I got this because it's the beginning of the year, yes. But also I was talking with a client of mine, actually multiple clients, kind of talking about their new year intentions and stuff like that. But one client in particular, I was talking with her about where she feels God leading her in her business this year. And I created a list of questions for her to ask herself as she sits with God and processes through some of this. And I thought, you know what? I want to share that with you guys. So even though this is normally for clients, I would love to just share that with you. These are just questions that you can ask yourself, kind of journal through. It's just a simple PDF, nothing fancy. It's completely free. Just go to mamawiththecalling.com/intention and you can grab that. I'll put that link in the description below as well. So first thing I want to say before we dive into the questions is that you have to know that any reflecting or planning that you do around your business or your year or what happened last year, etc., needs to be done with prayer and through a biblical lens, okay? Because if you try to look at everything that you didn't do through a worldly lens, you're going to probably feel really bad about yourself. You're going to feel really discouraged about your business, about where you're going, about what, it's just so negative. And it's all the things that you could have, should have done, all the things that you saw everybody do online, blah, blah, blah. We don't want to look at it through that. We want to look at it through the lens of God knows what was going on in your life. God knows where you need grace. Like, he gives you grace, right? He's not chastising you or fussing at you for whatever happened in your year last year. And then when you think about planning forward, same thing. If we do it through the world's lens, we will be so focused on, all the things we can accomplish and all the money you could make and all the things you can, like, it's just like a lot. And it creates this a feeling of like greed, and it's self-focused and all of this. So again, we need to do these things through a lens, like with prayer, and through a lens of like, what would God say? What does the Bible say? So Psalm 127:1 says, unless the Lord builds the house, its builders labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchmen stand guard in vain. So basically, if God is not doing this, if God is not with you in this, if you have not asked him to lead you and guide you, and he has not said, yes, this is what you need to be doing, then you can try to build something, but it's not going to stand. You need God behind you in this business, in front of you too, but behind you as far as like what your thoughts are, what your plans are, to have it be successful for the kingdom purposes, right? You can create a worldly business, sure. But if you want something that is going to make an impact, which I'm sure you do, or you wouldn't be listening to this podcast, then you have to ask God to lead and guide you as you're reflecting on how things have gone and where you need to focus next. So surrender your plans to him, right? There's no point in building a business that doesn't have God in the center of it all. All right. So 3 simple things that you can do to have intention going into 2025 when it comes to your calling and your business. Number 1 is to reflect on what you've done. Okay, that sounds simple, But what I mean by this is look back at your past year. And if you haven't already, but look back at your past year and just look at what happened, right? What were your intentions last year? Did you even have intentions last year? Maybe that's why nothing happened. Or maybe you made some progress. Maybe you have some insights. Maybe you realized what you do not want to do. Maybe you realized, you know what, I did not have a baby, but maybe you're saying to yourself, I had another baby, or we traveled a lot, or my husband's job changed, or whatever it is. Noting those things and not judging any of it, right? That's really important. But just reflect on how far you've come, anything you've learned, any gains that you've had. That is really important when it comes to number 2, which is seeking God's direction on where to focus moving forward. So once you kind of see, it's good to start with where you've been, because that's going to give you, like I said earlier, that's going to give you that fuel for maybe some things that you want to focus on moving forward. Now, there may be things that happened last year that you don't want to revisit. You don't want to keep working on that. So like one year, it doesn't matter the year. I don't remember what year it was, but it was like I had been focusing on blogging, trying to blog. And I'm not saying blogging, anything's wrong with blogging. Like I still like blogging, but I kept trying to do that. Well, when I went into the next year, I was realizing that is not what God was calling me to do. I needed to lay that down. So part of my problem is that I kept trying to do something that I'm not a great writer. I'm better at talking and coaching and things. And I was trying to like blog and do something totally different. And so it just wasn't working. And so just recognizing that. So that's really helpful when you come to the second step of seeking God's direction on where you want to focus moving forward. And this is where, the prompts have some questions to help with this, but also in the Clarity Retreat Kit, there's a lot more about this. But on the surface, I just want to say, just praying and seeking for God's direction. What is He putting on your heart that you need to do moving forward this year? And this is where, because you're praying, because you're seeking God's direction, believing that whatever comes on your heart, if it aligns biblically, right? Like it's not something crazy off, that's clearly not biblical. But if it's to reach, a certain number of women, if it's to build your website and get it solid, if it's to figure out what, niche you want to do, I don't know. Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever comes to mind, trust that's where God is leading you. And this may change. Sometimes we want to know the entire year exactly what's going to happen and all of that. You may not know all of those details, but you will have some direction of what you need to do moving forward. And that can set your intentions on that, right? And that's step number 3, which is commit to walking this out. So when you know what you need to focus on, where you need to set your bearings, you need to focus your intentions on these things, then create a plan of how you're going to make that happen. Because what happens to a lot of us is that we can plan and think and have all these ideas, and then we don't do, right? We don't actually carry it out. So commit, there's 2 parts to carrying it out, right? One is creating the plan of how you're going to carry it out. But then number 2 is, I am going to start working on this tomorrow or Monday or whatever that is. And I am going to continue to let this plan for my business guide my actions. It's going to guide the courses that I buy, the coaching that I invest in, the things I say yes, the things I say no to. Like if part of your direction is, I don't know, to be a coach, and you feel like at somewhere along the line that, you see somebody do a webinar and it sounds amazing to sell digital products like printables. It's like, wait a minute, that has nothing to do with coaching. That's not where God is leading me. So, pray about it and stuff, but it may not be what you need to be doing. So just a recap of those 3 things. So reflect on what you've done, seek God's direction on where you need to focus moving forward, and commit to walking it out. These 3 things are just the beginning, just 3 little tips, but they can help you have intention going into 2025, because what I don't want to happen to you is another year to go by where things don't happen. And a lot of times, as I don't know if it's as Americans or what, but we want like the full plan. We want every single thing that's going to happen this coming year. We want to know the plan, how it's all going to work, the products we're going to have, etc., before we even take a step, before we even do anything. And one of the things I've learned over the past few years is that you can have some form of a vision, something that God gives you. Go toward that. You are probably not going to know every single step along the way after that. Because if you knew everything that God was going to do, you would try to run ahead without God. You're not going to be trusting in him every step along the way. And this process needs to be a relationship building process with God, where you are praying over your business and you are saying, God, what do you want me to do today? What do you want me to do next? Who do you want me to, what is this next offer going to look like? Should I say yes to this coaching program or this course or whatever it is? You are walking with him as you do this business, but you are also doing the business along the way, because that is that trust, that faith, right? Because you can't see how it's going to be a business, but he gave you a direction. And so you're saying, okay, God, I'm going to try. I'm going to step out and I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust that you're going to show me what to do next. So taking action is so important, and setting yourself up with this intention on the front end is going to help you take this year and make progress, some sort of progress toward creating a business, the business that God is calling you to create. So if you want these journal prompts, more questions to help you dig deeper on what you've done, where you're going, and how you're going to walk this out, go ahead and grab that free PDF at mamawithacalling.com/intention. And I'd love to hear where God is leading you for your business in 2025. Saying it to someone else is powerful. This is part of the power of coaching, but I also invite you to join us inside of our free private community on Facebook, and post and share in there, what is it that you're wanting to do this year? Where is God leading you? So we can encourage you and you can encourage us. We can encourage one another. It's just a great way to be in community. So I hope those insights help you as you are following where God is leading you this week. And also, if you are interested in getting more support and help as you go through this year, and you are interested in coaching, I would love to walk alongside you and encourage you and help you as you discern where God is leading you. If you're interested in learning more about what that could look like and what that plan would look like, in the description, you'll see a link for a confusion to clarity call. And that is at mamawithacalling.com/confusion to clarity, all one word. And it's a free call, and I would love to support you and talk that out with you. So you can just head over there and do that. All right. Until next time, keep pursuing your calling. Thanks for listening to the Mama with a Calling podcast. As always, you'll find the show notes for today's episode at mamawithacalling.com/podcast. Really quick before you head out, are you loving these episodes? To make sure this podcast gets in the ears of as many mamas as possible, please head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. I'm going to be reading your reviews on the podcast, so I can't wait to hear from you. Also, if you know someone that needs to hear these episodes, grab a screenshot and share it on Instagram, and don't forget to tag me at Mama with a Calling so I can share it in my stories. Until next time, keep pursuing your calling.